Okay, hey everybody. Gonna be doing Beastman today. Happy Halloween to you, 2017. Gonna be doing something cool with this. Gonna be finishing up this card, and then I'm gonna be letting you guys decide what we're gonna do tonight for Halloween. I know I have a special how-to program that I wanted to get done, but due to some issues with Facebook not wanting to register in time, I have had some internet issues over that, and I just wanted to stop and touch base with you guys on it and see what we can do this evening to make that up. So what I'm thinking about doing is possibly a monster piece, an 11 by 17, 8.5 by 11, maybe in there. A monster piece for you guys to show the character dynamic drawing and the composition that I was going to show, as well as a little bit of something really edgy, you know, some of the bigger pieces like I do for comic books. And I wanted to get your feedback on that. Do you guys want to see something along the lines of a classic movie monster, or do you have some suggestions? Post them in the comments. Help me pick something out here, because right now the biggest thing I've got is that poll that I did a while back. The biggest thing on that was the King Kong versus Godzilla, and I was thinking about maybe doing that for Halloween, if you guys are going to dig that. But I just wanted to throw that out there and let you guys take a pick, and we're going to go for it. That way we can stick to that, and I'm going to do that later this evening so that we can maybe even later on tonight, closer to the witching hour, so that we can have fun with that and go for a little bit more relaxed but posting of it and get that out there. But I want to make it up to you guys for not doing the video earlier like I said I would, because of the fact that, like I said, with technical issues and stuff, I want to make that up and get some of that going on. And since it is a holiday, I don't want to be quite as uptight with it as quite as formal as I might be later down the line with it. But there it is. Anyway, as you may tell, this is a hybrid version of Beastman with a little bit of the old, a little bit of the new. I thought it'd be fun for Halloween to kind of spruce it up a little bit. And this character is really easy to draw. He's fun because he's, primitive, and for lack of a better term, a very primitive character. So it's easy to draw this kind of stuff for comics because he looks really, really vicious without having to worry about that too much. And I like the idea of that. I'm going to put in this beard here. Now you'll know from other stuff that I've talked about with the hair and beard and things like that, I like to do different textures of hair to separate different parts of the anatomy so that it flows easier. In this particular case, he's got a beard on his face, but not really matching the arm hair, which goes on here, kind of a wavy flame, thicker finish. And then this armor, which it's actually supposed to be body armor, but people misinterpret it as hair. This is going to be a kind of a flowy, wavy type of thing, rather than, rippling it up like this, or, kind of cringing it down like this to where it's small segments that are patched into his face as much. But anyway, I just wanted to get a little more diverse look on the hairs, so that's where we're going with it. And I got asked to do something a little more modern with it, since the new reincarnation came out. The reboot came out a couple years ago for the Cartoon Network, and I thought, I'll mix it up a little bit, sure. So, I mean, he still looks like Beastman and still holds all the character traits of the character, with the blue patches under his eyes, the blue lower eyelids, and the simian type features that he has going on. I really just have fun drawing these things. I take it a little easier than most people. some people get really serious with it, and then it's no fun when you do that. You know, when you get so hardcore with it that you can't decide what you want to do. But anyway. So be sure and post in the comments which one you want to see, because like I said, I'm going to be doing that piece later, and if not, I'm going to have to ask around a little bit and see what people are interested in before I continue on with that, because I want to bring it out, but that way it'll be a piece that I can hang on to and not have to worry about falling off of Facebook tonight with everybody on board, you know, for Halloween and whatnot. I don't want them to kick me off, and I don't want to kick them off, having a good time and whatnot. So that works. But anyway, on a livelier note, I have been pumping out pages most of the day on Lone Rider. And Catman Evolution number 4, 5, and number 6, all at the same time. People ask me all the time how I do comics so quickly, but then they ask me, well, you know, why can't we get them? And it's due to the fact that they're in different levels of production at the time. And I want to make sure that these books come out fairly reasonable for you guys. And I'm looking at something different for the print format, for the actual printed books. I found something that is really, really cool. It's an old school technique of a smaller type of comic, but it's still big enough to be recognized as a comic book format, because it's closer to a 6x9 or a 7x10 rather than the little bit larger format, and it only trims it down just a little bit. But the cool thing is that format was used by MPI audiobooks for taking comic books and making the stories in reprint and putting audio cassettes with them. I found a series of these things, a huge collection that I picked up and purchased, and the comics are scale to the larger comics, to the traditional format. So when you go in and look at them, they look just like comic books, but they're a little bit smaller, and it's easier on an 11x17 format, cost-effective wise, for comics to be produced that way. You can go from, you know, black and white to full color at that option because it's smaller and you're using a different type of press, as well as on-demand fitting really well with that format. You know, with the digital machines being what they are. And I was just tinkering with that. I've been tinkering with that for a long time, and I found one that works. And if you go check these things out on eBay or Amazon, it depends on the collectability of the book and the rarity, because people always took really good care of the tapes. But being in the digital age, we can go online and get them. You know, you can get those audio tracks downloaded for, I think, $1.99 a piece or whatever, and you can download them and record them and have the audio cast for yourself from those books, from those sets. But the books themselves are the ones that went missing, because everybody was like, well, these are miniature readers, they're not real comics, and they're printed the exact same way as comic books. They did a lot of Jim Lee and a lot of Will Spatasio and a lot of Sal Buscema, and one of the bigger ones in there was Todd McFarlane. They redid all of his Spider-Man run and put audio tapes to it at the time in 89 and 90 when he was at the top of his game in the Spider-Man program for Marvel. So that's just crazy stuff. You'd think they'd use somebody like Mark Bagley that, you know, had a longer run, but nope, they went with Todd. And I just wanted to let you guys know that I'm looking into that format because I really dig it, and it's so easy to print. It is so easy to reproduce. Got a couple of my printing partners that do that kind of thing. full-time, which I did for a long time, but don't anymore. I outsource that stuff so I can produce books. I just don't have that kind of time. And with my stuff, I have to do even less in that regard. But to stay on point, though, that would be something I recommend you guys look into, a smaller book format. That's way better than the manga style or mini comic style at the 5-inch or 5.5-inch book that takes it way down to where it's not cost effective for people to pay $2-3 for the comic. It's just not there in value for the cost overhead of what it takes to produce that. Not to mention the fact that printers charge more because it's a custom cut. But this format that I'm talking about is actually a decent cut and regularly used. So start thinking about that. That's really cool stuff to know that there's actually an option that will sell. And I think it would do great because of the fact that it's feasible for what everybody wants to see, which is keeping comics in print and lowering prices for reproduction. And granted, I'm still an advocate for I'm still a hardcore advocate for printing as a secondary option, and a lot of the publishers are starting to go that way too. They're going digital on the monthly and then printing the collections or story arcs as trades. DC has been doing more and more trades, and they thought the market was going to go trade, but those sales have drastically dropped due to the fact that they didn't monetize or target their downloadables. So, that was a bad choice on their part, and they're finally recouping from that. And especially with Greg Capullo's Batman run, they're trying to recoup the cost of all that stuff. So, I think that digital first, and then, for the monthlies, and then the trade at a cheaper cost, and then you go trade to collect some more of your money, But we have to be careful with that because the market's very fickle in that regard. And I see that being a problem too, because so many people want their comic book up front. It's like going to the movies to watch the movie. They're willing to pay the movie cost, but they don't want to pay for, that much for the DVD on the back end, which is where you make your long-term money on those movies. So, because they recoup production on films through the ticket cost at the box office. And then when they do it, once they have the money re-earned and recouped for their cost, then the secondary market is where they build out, and that's why it's different. A lot of people want to say, well, I would rather have the DVD. Well, it depends, and with on-demand movie production coming out, with like Netflix getting their own home theater version because everybody's got huge flat screens now, they're looking into buying into that option for home theater options where you can buy on demand like you do a fight, or a sporting event. And they're talking about doing pay-per-view that way right as the home box office comes out for the theater. And you have to pay just as much as a ticket fee to get in there and get to see the film. Netflix was talking about Thor Ragnarok being one of the first movies on that list. And they've been advertising the bejesus out of that thing. And that's a technical term. But we'll see what happens. I've been following the technology for a long time because of the marketing stuff that I do. And it looks like they may end up leaning that way. I know Facebook is trying to get that social interactive platform for their movie broadcasting service and go to get sporting events and things like that, as well as films in a instantaneous response so that you can buy that stuff right up front. But it's still trivial right now because no one's actually done it yet. We'll see. But for comic books, start to think about your marketing in the way that, comics can still come out in print versus virtual and still make you a profit. Because there's still a lot of people out there that like paper comics. Paper's not going to go away for a long time. They thought the internet was going to kill books, and it didn't. They thought it was going to kill newspapers, which it's doing slowly. But people still like to get their coupons and their daily paper and carry it around with them, so that stuff's still producing. But, not everybody's tech savvy. But in another 15 years or so, when the baby boomers are retired out and not still controlling a big chunk of the market as seniors, it's going to be a big difference. Once they start retiring off and start folding out of the fold, it's going to be a different game. So we've got to be ready for that, as business people. It's going to be a big jump. I think digital is going to take a big leap in progression, technology-wise as well as marketing-wise. So start getting on board with that and start doing what you need to do, because you may miss the bandwagon if you don't, and then you'll be like DC, skirmishing, to get a foothold. You got to skirmish in there and say, I got to do something now because I got to put all this product on there. But what they should have done was what Image did and put out both options, because it doesn't have to be either or. It can be both options. But, unfortunately, they went with what Diamond said and kicked gear full out and said, oh, print will never die. Well, guess what? Magazines and newspapers are the first ones that are proven as disposable media, and they're the ones that are paying the biggest debt because of the fact that they invested in long term and they didn't plan ahead, but they invested in long term printing and didn't get into the digital technology age of having a business plan for that. And that's where DC's going, oh man, we've been giving away all these millions of copies of these books, and why didn't we market them for 99 cents or $1.99 or something like that, or $2.99 like Todd McFarlane did over at Image? And everybody followed suit, and now Image is the top runner in digital comics as far as publishing goes. I mean, even over Disney and Marvel, they're kicking butt. But that's something people didn't account for. Good old Uncle Toddy did, and I knew they were going to do it. Dark Horse did it too. Dark Horse has a great digital platform. And ever since Diamond kicked them out of exclusivity, they've been bouncing around just doing all kinds of fun stuff with it. But, you got to do what you got to do for business. You got to think, people. That's what we do. Got to innovate. And since Comixology is going downhill, it's going to be awesome. Yeah, Phil, the thing with Alterna, they have a great line. It's a beautiful line, but it's one of those things where it's cheap to do it right now because newsprint is flexible. Okay, it's a cheap product to make, and with all the recycled products, newsprint comes of that. Things like this, and then your daily newspaper and all that gets shredded down, and then all the magazines that you get, it gets shredded down and bleached, and then gets ground down into newsprint and newspaper. Okay, and that's really cheap right now because you can buy it in bulk for next to nothing because of the fact that hardly anybody uses it, so they sell it that way. Now, the thing is, whenever you get it, you have to make sure it's of quality enough to hold up. A lot of Asian printing services use that because of the fact that they want to, they use it as a disposable media, because when you buy a magazine or a comic book over there, a manga or black and white over there, it's normally in a newspaper or in a magazine, a monthly magazine format, like we read, like, Family Circle or Better Homes. I don't know what magazines are out there. I don't read a lot of digital. A lot of print anymore. I read a lot of digital stuff. So I get my sources from everywhere. But just as an example, or Hot Rod Magazine, for example, that's newsprint. Most of that's printed overseas because of the fact that it's cheaper to use it over there, because they are designed in the market to be a disposable income and a disposable a disposable marketing bracket. So they use disposable constructs to hold their stuff for their entertainment. And like I said, that's going to come in, magazines to get thrown away. Comics are a disposable, readable product, and they get trashed all the time. I see them just go downhill. Shogun magazine, which used to come over here, I don't think they're still in print. They may still be, but I haven't seen one in a long time, if they are. But that was all newsprint, black and white newsprint, and it had so many comics in it. It was an anthology, and it had Bleach in it. It had let's see, it had Nar in it. It had Dragon Ball Z in it at one point. It just depends on where it goes, But they use that over there as prime reading too, and prime entertainment. They have a lot of animated shows that are prime time because of the fact that it's cheaper to make those than make the special effects for the other stuff, for live action, which now it's becoming more productive. But back in the 60s and 70s, they used to use the zipper suit stuff, like Ultraman, and like Phil and I were talking about zipper suit stuff offline. We're talking about Godzilla and King Kong, and all that, and it was all zipper suit or claymation. Now they can do it CGI and it's no problem. That's just the evolution process. But now they don't have to do all that anymore. But with comics coming back, I think it's going to need to shift, okay? It's not going to necessarily go away, but it's going to need to shift because sales aren't being respected the way they used to be, because everybody can buy digital and stock it and read it when they want to. But yet we've got to make the comic market switch gears to where they respect this stuff and buy, because they got to understand we still got to eat. There's no reason to cut. Well, they say that $3.99 is not reasonable anymore because of the fact that it's digital. There's no print to it. So what? That's not feeding the printer. That's feeding us. And the thing is, when they realize that the overhead cost of that is still less than what it should be for the market, that $3.99 is going to go off and feed the color. It's got to pay everybody on staff for the book. So if you're not willing to buy it, then guess what? You're not willing to buy it. But I guarantee you, if you go off and see, someone buy a digital copy of O Magazine for $5.99, but yet you see it on the stand for $7.99, no one complains a bit. No one even blinks that they're buying that for $5 or $6 digital. So, the argument's there. Stand your ground. Keep your prices up. Drop it $1, go $2.99 because you don't have the dollar, the dollar a book cost, and be reasonable with it. But don't lose your livelihood because of the fact of some tightwad wanting to hang on there and being disgruntled about not wanting to respect the craft and trying to get something for free because they're used to Kickstarter paying direct sales on books and screwing them all, screwing over the creator. Think about that. Think about it. Think about it. Think about it. And I'm not going on a tangent here. I'm just saying this is, this is practical business, and publishing comic books is a publishing faction of entertainment. We have to respond. I'm sorry, they'll pay $80 for a video game, but they won't pay $3 for a comic book. No, I say I say So don't do that, and don't kowtow to it. If you're a publisher, don't kowtow to it at all. You know what I mean? That doesn't make sense. So, everything's relative with what you'll charge, and they try to negotiate because they think that they're in the business as a fan and they have a say. Well, if you don't meet my price point, I won't buy your book. So what? You don't buy my book. So what? That's okay. I'm not going to give up my livelihood and cut my cost to a ridiculous non-profit level because you don't want to buy, because you're whining about an extra buck. You don't need my book that bad. So, but it is what it is. So we've got that whole thing going on, and that's the way the business works. And people will either abide by it and respect it like they do every other company out there that still sells their books for $2.99 or $3.99, Well, no, you're not DC, you're not Marvel, you're not Image. No, but I'm in the same market they are, and you respect that standard of price, so you're going to respect it when I charge it too. That's what you got to say and stand your ground. That way you get into the competition and you get into the market and get respect. Otherwise, you get your butt handed to you. And that's a technical term too. It means you go broke. So don't do that. But anyway, here is my Beastman. And I'm going to ask you guys one more time real quick, by whoever's still here. We've got Beastman done. So now, do you guys want to see for Halloween for a cool piece, 8.5 by 11, 11 by 17? I haven't decided what scale I'm going to do it at yet, but I'm thinking a big dramatic fight scene of King Kong and Godzilla, or Freddy and Jason, or a classic monster of some sort. What do you guys want to see? What do you guys want to see? I'm going to need you to tell me real quick, because if not, we're not going to be able to do it, because I don't know what's coming up. I mean, otherwise I'll pick it myself, and then you guys may be disappointed with what's there, but hey, we'll go from there. But I'm leaning very heavily towards the King Kong and Godzilla piece. I'm going to shade some of this hair now to make it pop a little bit. Just kind of give it some vibrancy and a little bit of more depth and body to it. Try not to get it too dark here. Just want to make it up a little. And this is how you do it. You just pick one side and bring it up just a little bit. And not everyone has to be that way. That way it comes up. Yay, he's got a beard. Okay. So, what are we thinking here real quick? Because I'll be starting this a little bit later. I'm going to take a little bit of a break, and then I'm going to come back, and I'll be drawing on that. I hear a lot of people are going to be doing parties and stuff on Facebook Live, and it's going to be really heavy, but nonetheless, I'm still going to be here. So, if you guys want to see it, you may have to catch up with me. Otherwise, you're going to be able to see it tomorrow as a replay. A lot of people are saying, it's the week, though. It's the week. I don't want to do it on a weekday. That's the day it fell on. That's the day we got to do it. Okay, cool. Got Beastman going on here. And I may come out and just do a some kind of monster. I don't know. I don't know. Could happen. Could happen. Okay, cool. We're going to leave that like that. I'm going to walk away. Back away slowly. So, yeah, man, I got your choice, Phil. So far, Phil has posted that he wants Kong versus Zilla. And that could be a massive piece, man. That could be a really cool piece. Because I don't know if you guys know this or not, but I love kaijus and zipper monster, you know, the zipper suit monster things going on, you know, the old school Godzilla stuff, Ultraman, and a few others. I dig those things. I even tolerated the Power Rangers for a little while in the 90s when it came out, 89, 90, right around in there, when it followed the X-Men series, because of the zipper suit fights, you know, the monsters. And I know they were miniatures, and I know they were cheesy and whatnot, but I gave it a chance for a little bit. Then I just couldn't handle the bad acting. But It is what it is. But it's not necessarily bad acting. It's different cultural acting because it's the Japanese method. So it's really sharp and blunt, and it seems very cookie cutter. But it's actually a technique. Check it out. You'll be impressed once you understand. Especially with an example I saw recently of the film called The Guardians, which is Russian based, and it's the equivalent to the Russian based version of a cross between the Avengers and the Fantastic Four. But the storytelling is really, really blunt, and it is an hour and 28 minutes of nothing but action from beginning to end. There is no fluff in this thing, and I mean none. It is 1% at zero ground, boom, you're in, and then 100% at the end, and it's just mind blown. Your brain will be swirled into ooze. Check it out. If you're into the superhero stuff, give it a chance. You will, I guarantee you, most of you will like it. There'll be a couple that won't, and they'll tell me, and they'll be like, man, that movie's horrible. But you got to give it what it is. So anyway, back to the target. Zipper Suit Monsters, hopefully. Maybe. We'll see how it goes. And we'll go from there. Talk to you later, guys.